He's Chase Sr. I'm Harrison Graham. You're watching College Football Now here on Chat Sports, and we're going to update where the quarterback situation looks like in the college football transfer portal. But first, a domino falls with the quarterback in the portal. Chase, Quinn Ewers commits to Texas on Sunday night.
Yeah, goes to Texas over Texas Tech. It was really a two-horse race and something that was really fascinating to follow over the last several days. The number one overall player in the 2021 recruiting class, of course, he had to reclassify. He was supposed to be a part of the 2022 class before he originally committed to Ohio State. And with him now going to Texas, that leaves a lot of other players who are very good quarterbacks who are in the transfer portal, who are going to be going elsewhere to continue their respective college careers. We'll, of course, break those guys down here in just a little while. As for Quinn Ewers, the final visit really was huge. He had visited with TCU, Texas, Texas Tech. Then he circled back to go to Texas. I was being told all throughout last week that there was a little bit of a Texas Tech lean. There was some momentum behind Quinn Ewers going to Texas Tech over Texas. But at the end of the day, that final visit paid huge dividends. This is a massive get for Steve Sarkisian, and it's really hard to turn down the reported, if it's true, $4 million of money per year in NIL deals. You have the opportunity to bring Texas back, and the pool of players on that roster year in, year out is always fabulous. Now, Texas has been irrelevant as a football program for a pretty long time, dating back to Colt McCoy, and if Quinn Ewers can be the guy to bring that program back, it adds to his legendary status.
Yeah, look, a couple of things on my mind, and then we'll get to the top 10 updated list of transfer quarterbacks. Props to Ewers for embracing this challenge, because a lot of quarterbacks over the last decade plus have felt like they could be the guy to bring this program back. Sam Ehlinger declared Texas back a few years ago. That did not end up being the case. Case McCoy, David Ash, Tyrone Swoops. The list goes on and on of guys who have led this program. Garrett Gilbert, of course, the big one. He was supposed to be the heir apparent to Colt McCoy. He flames out, ends up at SMU, as did Shane Buechele.
Yep.
Now Quinn Ewers, the latest and greatest recruit to end up at Texas. So kudos to him for embracing that challenge. But as we know, if we followed this university over the last 10 or 12 years, there are a lot of factors in play. There's a lot of roster management that Steve Sarkisian has to figure out. Political factors always come into play with the University of Texas football job. We'll see if Quinn Ewers is finally the guy to bring Texas back. Will he succeed at Texas? We'll ask you this question, and then we will jump on into that list momentarily. Type Y for yes, type in for no. Let us know what you guys think down in the comments section. And before we get to the updated top 10 quarterbacks in the transfer portal, real quick, we have a deal for you guys. College football hoodies up to 50% off at chatsports.com/CFB hoodie. We got all the major programs and some smaller ones as well. That link will be down in the comments and in the description. Click and shop today. The perfect Christmas gift this holiday season. The clock is ticking for your Christmas shopping. Trust me, I still have a lot to do. Chatsports.com/CFB hoodie. That link will be in the comments and the description, like I said. Okay, top 10 transfer portal quarterbacks. Spencer Rattler, still out there. A lot of buzz. He, of course, transferring from Oklahoma. There's some real UCLA buzz. Chase, people thought maybe Arizona State, but once Jaden Daniels announced his return, it's kind of shifted elsewhere. But the latest report suggests he wants to be somewhere in the western region, whether that's all the way on the West Coast or at least in kind of in that, between Texas and California area.
Yeah, not much of a surprise because he's an Arizona guy. I know you and I were rooting for him to go to Iowa because it seems as though they always have a stacked roster outside of having some quarterback who cannot move around. Spencer Rattler to UCLA is really fascinating to me. He gets to pair up with Chip Kelly. I think he'd be an upgrade over Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Agreed.
And Spencer Rattler, the talent isn't the issue. I think it's his leadership qualities. I think it comes down to his maturity. Didn't seem as though Oklahoma really rallied around him. But as a pure thrower of the football, Spencer Rattler can really chuck it, and he can make any throw on the field. That's why going into this year, he was the number one ranked quarterback among all draft-eligible QBs. Yep. So if he goes to Chip Kelly, pairs up with him, works on some of those kinks, Chip is going to run a high-octane offense. He's going to have some legitimate players within that offense to maximize the ability of Spencer Rattler. The offensive fit with Lincoln Riley, I just don't think really fit with the skill set of Spencer Rattler. It could be a little bit better at UCLA if that does come to fruition.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out and predict it for us. What school will land Spencer Rattler in what I'm just going to call college football free agency, because that's where we're at.
That's what it is.
Let us know on that one. An interesting name entering the portal in the last 24 hours, Bo Nix at Auburn, who's had quite a career, Chase. He's at times looked like Johnny Manziel, and at other times he's almost losing to Georgia Southern because he can be so erratic. A lot of chatter. Maybe he'll go follow his old coach, Gus Malzahn, to UCF, as, of course, Dylan Gabriel is in the portal. We'll get to him later on. But Bo Nix, certainly a talented and experienced guy, albeit he has been a bit up and down.
Really, really good athlete and a good thrower of the football who, like Spencer Rattler, can make multiple throws on the field. Gives you a little bit more of a dual threat option than Spencer Rattler does. I remember watching his collegiate debut against Oregon. He was chucking dimes, making crazy plays, and I'm like, damn, Auburn has their next guy, really the best quarterback prospect that program seemed to have since maybe dating back to Cam Newton, and we kept waiting for Bo Nix to break out. And those breakout moments came at times. He was really good in that comeback effort, and in that game against LSU, probably one of his best career games, beat Alabama his freshman year. The breakout just never happened from a consistency perspective. I can't wait to see him go to a program with some stability and maybe less of the theatrics than what went down at Auburn this year. It seemed like so much was going on, and he seemed a little bit distracted.
Yeah, they were very up and down throughout the season. They start 1-2, I believe, then they win 5 in a row, then they lose their final 5. I mean, it was a very bizarre situation. Here's another name that, not quite to the Spencer Rattler level, but had first-round buzz coming into this season, and Kedon Slovis out of USC, he fell off a cliff this year, man. He really struggled for the Trojans. Now, you talk about a lot going on at Auburn.
Sheesh, USC,
there was a lot going on at USC. They canned Clay Helton in September. Slovis gets hurt. Jackson Dart's this big recruit that had a lot of buzz coming in. He plays some at times. They go back to Slovis. A lot of moving parts here. And, of course, now with Lincoln Riley there, and he's bringing his own dudes, I think Slovis sees the writing on the wall, so he decides to go into the portal. A kid who's talented. When he's hot, he's hot. When he's not, he's bad.
Yeah.
I watched him play in the Pac-12 title game in the COVID-shortened season. He was horrendous. I was like, this guy's getting first-round pick buzz. I think that performance carried over to this year because USC did not end up playing in a bowl game last year. Never really got back on track. He's talented, but he's very erratic, Chase, and a pretty questionable decision maker.
Yeah, we're talking going back and forth about all these quarterbacks, talking about their individual destinations and their individual situations. There's a common theme here. They are escaping environments that weren't conducive to success for both winning football games consistently and conducive to success for them individually. They're trying to go elsewhere to get maybe a new lease on their college football lives.
Let's take a look at Max Johnson, who these last 3 guys have all entered the portal since we did this segment about 10 days ago. A lot of quarterbacks going in and out of this thing over the last week or two. Max Johnson quietly this year, 27 touchdowns, 6 picks. I mean, I know LSU had some issues, but a lot of those issues were on defense. Johnson, left-handed kid, he can really spin it, has some real talent, the son of Brad Johnson, of course. So we'll see where he ends up. His younger brother, Jake Johnson, is a tight end in this upcoming recruiting class. There's a lot of chatter they could package up somewhere. So we'll see. I think he's someone who's capable of starting for a good program. I saw enough good things. A little inconsistent, like all these guys are, but certainly a starting level quarterback.
They were just awful in the red zone. I wouldn't really put it on him as much as I'd put it on that offensive coaching staff at LSU. So certainly a name to monitor, and considering his age and the potential, I really like his prospects of going somewhere where he can succeed.
Let's go Dylan Gabriel next. And look, where we rank these, I think after Rattler, 2 through 5 is pick your flavor, right? They all have a little bit of a different skill set. I think Gabriel at times has been very, very good. He was a little inconsistent this year when he played. Really experienced player.
A couple of southpaws here in Johnson
2
and
lefties. Gabriel has played a lot of football and played a lot of good football in his career. I think he'll land somewhere. Ole Miss, he visited. A lot of quarterbacks have visited Ole Miss, by the way, over the last couple of weeks, 2 or 3 of them. So we'll see where he lands. But I think he can start at a Power 5 program that has at least pretty high aspirations. I don't think he's going to lead you to a college football playoff, but if you need a guy for a year or two that can play well and put up numbers, Dillon Gabriel can do that.
Yeah, no, he can. And really the production that he was able to put forward at UCF, it's up there with all of these quarterbacks that we're breaking down. I mean, he did some filthy things at UCF. There were some rumblings about him going to Ole Miss, visiting there, and I had said that said this several days ago when we did this segment originally. Now it's updated, of course. Like, if Lane Kiffin is looking into you, he's an offensive mastermind and a wizard.
He sees potential.
He sees potential there, and Dillon Gabriel certainly has it.
5 more quarterbacks to go, but early National Signing Day, basically the National Signing Day, gets going on Wednesday, December 15th. So this is the time to subscribe to us here at Chat Sports. We will have you guys covered on all things recruiting, and as long as big names are in the transfer portal, we will be monitoring that as well. So subscribe. Don't miss any of our college football coverage here at Chat Sports. Adrian Martinez, you could loop him into some of those other names as well. We'll spend a little time on him, but then we'll go a little faster on the lower names on this list. Martinez, I keep mentioning the 2 things, toughness and experience.
Yep.
That's not everything, but I think in college football that's a lot. I think that offers a lot to a program. I think another middle-tier Power 5, there's a lot of K-State buzz. His girlfriend plays there. He had an unofficial visit. Now he's officially visiting. He's also visited Cal. I think K-State makes a ton of sense. They like to run their quarterback a lot. They always have. I think he could go in there, win you 7 or 8 games, be a bridge guy, while those younger quarterbacks on that roster continue to develop.
You talk about the experience. I mean, Adrian Martinez played in a bunch of big games. Now, a lot of them did not result in wins for Nebraska, but a lot of those games were very, very close. Got to play in one of the best college football atmospheres in Nebraska. Really, really special to see games there played and the way that the fan base shows out, considering that Nebraska has been bad for a really long time. He's so up and down, so inconsistent. The highs are high, the lows are low, but as a dual-threat quarterback who's played in a lot of games, has a lot of experience, he's got some advantages in that regard.
How about Zach Calzada? Oh, my God, I almost said Calzone.
This was a surprise today when this news broke.
This dropped on Monday, depending on when you're watching this.
He beat Alabama this year.
Alabama.
Now, he was awful before that, but he beat Alabama.
At times, he was bad after, but he improved, I thought, throughout the season.
Took a shot to the knee threw that game-winning tutty.
Yeah, I mean, you watch him play against Colorado early in the year, and then Alabama, you're like, this is not the same human being.
Yeah.
Like, it's just kind of like Martinez with a smaller sample size. When he's on, he makes throws that look like Aaron Rodgers.
I think you and I were watching this A&M Alabama game, and we were like, how is he doing this?
Like,
and how does he look this good?
We're like, this is not Zach Calzada.
No.
So I'm surprised. I wonder if Jimbo has told him, like, look, I'm not saying you can't compete, but we're not just going to give you the job just because you played this year. Haynes King was their starter coming into this year, got hurt. They also have a high recruit in this upcoming class. So maybe he's like, look, man, I've got a lot of tape out there. Programs could use me, and I'd have more of a guarantee to start. He still has a lot of eligibility left, so we shall see. Jack Miller III, the other Ohio State quarterback in the portal, of course, Quinn Ewers to Texas now. Won't spend a ton of time, but he was a 4-star recruit, 6'4", strong arm, has some upside. I'm thinking maybe group of 5 here, Chase, if he wants to start right away. Like, could Cincinnati make sense?
I'm looking at the Cincinnatis of the world.
Like good group of 5 programs?
To replace Desmond Ridder. I'm looking at the SMUs of the world. And these programs have been able to land really good quarterbacks who were with Power 5 programs. They just wanted to get more playing time. And how can you blame them?
Yeah, I think that definitely makes a lot of sense. Miles Brennan, the other LSU quarterback, didn't play this year. I don't know if he played at all. I don't think he played at all. Last year, played quite a bit. Like the Max Johnson, has shown some good things, but injuries have really piled up there. He's got, I believe, 2 years of eligibility. So some experience, some arm talent, but injuries a big concern there. Before we get to number 10, who will be LSU's starting quarterback next year? It's either going to be Walker Howard, who is in this recruiting class, who Brian Kelly was dancing with the other day. I don't know if you saw that video. So he's going to stay committed to LSU, it looks like. Or it's going to be Nussmeier, who is currently on the roster and will likely start in the bowl game. Let us know, Tiger fans. Who's it going to be? All right, last name here, and this is really interesting. Cameron Ward. Chase, have you ever heard of Incarnate Ward, the college?
In Austin, Texas,
it's
right?
in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
A Power 5 head coach, while we show you his stats at FCS, Incarnate Ward, said he's, quote, a freak. His year this year, 65%, 4,700 yards almost, 47 touchdowns and 10 picks. I know it's the FCS, Chase, but we've seen guys transfer from the FCS to the FBS. Bailey Zappi, who ended up at Western Kentucky, threw for over 5,000 yards this year. He played at Houston Baptist for a few years. He's visiting Ole Miss. He visited Ole Miss over the weekend. So if Lane Kiffin's looking, there might be something here. I think he's the dark horse in the portal right now.
No, I agree. And the numbers that he put forward
Just
this year,
insane.
straight up stupid and insane. And a lot of you watching are probably like, why did he end up there and not at a better school? There's so many factors that go into that. Sometimes these high school quarterbacks just are overlooked. They don't get enough hype. They don't get enough buzz because in high school, they're playing at like a 1A school or a 2A school that nobody knows about. And it's hard to really stack up that high school competition with, let's say, big high schools in Texas, right?
Sure.
I cannot wait to see what happens on this front. Cameron Ward, a name to keep an eye out for.
That's definitely a name to monitor potentially in the next college football season. There you go. Updated top 10 quarterbacks in the portal. If history holds true, some more names will probably enter, and we'll have you guys updated here on Chat Sports.